Hello, everyone. My name is Ken Nathaniel B. Bernales, and together with my partner John Michael B. Sigayo, here to present our EX2, which is all about minimalism. An artwork so simple that it just works. Now, you might be asking yourself right now, why should we care about minimalism? It looks so boring. Well, I hear you. But I alone cannot answer that question. So, I call upon my partner, John Michael B. Sigayo, for some preface about the work. Take it away, Sigayo. Sigayo. Sigayo.
Thank you, Bernales. Hello, everyone. For this section, I will tackle what is minimalism, how it came to be, and the factors that led to the creation of this art. You might be tempted to ask, what is it better to tackle this section separately? And my answer will be yes. But just how the definition of minimalism art is to strip art all the way down to the fundamental form of lines and shape. Its history is almost the same. This art form was part of many art forms that rose during the post-World War II period wherein everyone was still healing after the war. This art form was most prominent in Northern America during 1960, emerging as a deliberate rejection of the overly dramatic and emotionally charged style of abstract expressionism, which is dominating the art scenes at that time.
For its features, it features geometrical types, often cubic forms, purged of much metaphor, equality of parts, repetition, neutral surfaces, solid planes of color, normally precise, and hard-edged.
But let's not forget its most important features being to reduce an artwork to reducing the work to the smallest number of colors, values, shades, lines, and texture, also to the simplest form. Number 2, aim no destruction of composition, themes, and the others. Number 3, colors not used to express moods, feelings. Number 4, normally color use or unmixed colors straight from the tube. Number 5, often based on a grid and mathematically composed. Number 6, thrives on simplicity in both content and form. And number 7, industrial materials. That use of material was the common in order to eliminate the evidence of the artist's hard work. Colors aren't used to express moods, feelings, as the art basically aims for no destruction of its composition, themes, and other features for the message to the as direct as possible. Some more features of minimalism art include it being more based on a grid as well being mathematically composed. It thriving on simplicity in meaning and form. It using industrial materials or the use of materials in order for artists to eliminate evidence of their work. And normally, color use and unmixed colors being used straight from the tube and not even being put some into a palette.
For something so simple, it sure did raise much of issues that include, but are not limited to, its association with elite galleries that made it feel more exclusive and inaccessible to the general public. Its detachment from social movements of its time such as civil rights and feminism. Its marketization and monetization by critics and institutions, and ultimately its role in sparking the emergence of the post-minimalist movement. What's the post-minimalism movement? Well, as minimalism is a response to abstract expressionism, this one, post-minimalist, well, from its name you can just tell that it's a response to minimalism it aims to make art great again, technically. But that's basically the gist of it.
With the preface out of the way, we introduce the four main minimalist artists that shape it into what is was but then and translate as well into the modern times. Bornales, take a stage.
Thank you, Sigaya. And for our first artist, we have Donald Judd, a famous American art critic, sculptor, painter, and writer. He was the first artist to have a one-man exhibition in 1957. And then, from 1960 to 1962, he went from painting to sculpting and became the leading exponent, or basically one of the godfathers of minimalist art. We can see how he became a literist, which is a term that describes minimalist artists during their time, in his way of thinking. He believed that art should not be made to represent anything and that it should, unequivocally, stand on its own and simply exist. In his work, Judd sought autonomy and clarity for the constructed object and the space created by it, ultimately achieving a rigorously democratic presentation without compositional hierarchy. Do I know what any of those words mean? Probably. Much of his work is of simple cubes or other geometric units that stand on the floor or are hanging from the wall, which forces the viewers of his art to confront them according to their own material existence. Alongside with his works being geometric in nature, he also likes to often repeat them to create space and for the viewer to explore that space. That was a lot of words, but we're not quite done yet, since we'll take a look at three of his sculptures to see how he applied the minimalistic art style in his work. For the first one, we have an untitled work of his in 1967, which are just some rectangular prisms in landscape position equally spaced from each other. For the second one, we have another untitled work of his in 1969, but close enough, which are just some boxes equally spaced from each other, but this time in a vertical position. Ooh. And for the last artwork, we have another untitled work of his in 1969, which is just a box pit separated by what seems to be a thin wall, separating them into two equal halves. As you can see, his artwork isn't really meant to be anything. It exists because it just does. There is no further meaning behind them, as he didn't even give the artworks a name so that it doesn't confuse or lead the viewers into thinking there is something more with his sculptures. All in all, he just seems to go with the what you see is what you get type basis. And I think that's pretty cool.
For our next artist, we have Agnes Martin, a renowned painter born in Canada in 1912. She later moved to the US, where she developed her signature style, series or fields of extremely subtle colored, grid-based abstract painting that we will see later on. Her signature style is defined as emphasis upon the line, grids, and fills extremely subtle color. While the minimalists informed, their paintings were quite in different spirit from those on her other minimalist counterpart, retaining small flaws and unmistakable traces of the artist's hand. She shined away from intellectualism, favoring the personal and spiritual. Her paintings, statements, and influential writings often reflect an interest in Eastern philosophy, especially Taoist. Because of her work, added spiritual dimension, which became more and more dominant. After 1967, she preferred to be classified as an abstract expressionist.
But wait. We're talking about minimalism, right? Then why is she in with the minimalists? Well, you see, her artworks are indeed minimalistic in style, but not really in the philosophical sense. You'll understand more when I continue time and Sigaya shows you.
Three of her works, such as Friendship in 1963, which was made using the underlayer of oil paint, along with industrial material such as coal sleeve, a material rich in historical association that stand out from the other works of its era. Next is On the Clear Day in 1973, which was a series of 30 screen prints on the neutral background. In this one, she is trying to explore by simplicity of art as well as her trying to make non-egoist art, as she often then drew inspiration from Zen Buddhism, Taoism, and Christianity. And the last artwork we'll look of her is the Happy Holiday in 1999, which is in this artwork was part of Martin later of work, characterized by the use of parallel lines and the focus on color and light. As we can see, she used most minimal of colors in her work, but unlike Donald Judd, she needs in their works to mean something. Her works were often done because they were deeply personal of her. She showcased the beauty of minimalism as she was able to make something too simple have meaning.
Next up on the list is Frank Stella, a painter born on May 12th, hailing from Maiden, Massachusetts, USA. He is a significant figure in minimalist and post-painterly abstraction. He is one of the most well-regarded post-war American painters who still works this day. He reacted against the expressive use of paint by most painters of the abstract expressionist movement, instead finding himself drawn toward the flatter surfaces of Barnett Newman's artworks. He said that a picture was a flat surface with paint on it, nothing more. Many of the works are created by simply using the path of the brush stroke often using common house paint. This new aesthetic found expression in a series of paintings. The black paints were separated by very thin pinstripes of unpainted canvas. What this last point here might mean is that during the 1950s, he created an artwork, or multiple artworks, of black enamel paintings that featured precise, symmetrical stripes that emphasized flatness and repetition. They were made in response to abstract expressionism as he lived by. What you see is what you see in art. As a last fact, also in the 1960s, Stella began to use a wider range of colors, typically arranged in straight or curved lines. Now, for three of his most popular artworks, we have the Gran Cairo in 1962, which was more of an op art and less of a minimalistic art style, but still fits due to it being a repetition of geometrical shapes. Next, we have the Harans II in 1967, which was part of his Protractor series in 1967 to 1971, which was the polar opposite of his black painting series, the one that I stated before. This painting was inspired by the arcs of a protractor and floor plans of Middle Eastern cities. And now, for the last artwork, he painted the Shubigu. Am I reading it? No. The Shubigi, or Shobigi, whatever one it was, in 1976, which was part of his Exotic Birds series from 1976 to 1980s. This was made during the time when he left the minimalistic art style behind for a more complex art style that influenced post-minimalist arts and contemporary abstraction arts. Frank Stella started being drawn into minimalistic art only to leave it for greater pastures.
And for our artists, we have Carl Andre. He's an American minimalist artist recognized both for his ordered linear format and grid format sculpture. While at Phillips Academy, he became friends with Hollis Frampton, who would later influence Andre's radical approach to sculpture through their conversation about art and through introduction to the artist. His major contribution of minimalism was redefining sculpture by using industrial materials arranged directly on the floor, emphasizing simplicity, repetition, and spatial experience over traditional artistic technique. He helped shift sculpture from expressive form to the elemental arrangement that engaged viewers physically and conceptually. And now, of three of his most prominent artworks, we have the Howard Rose, which is stated to be early experimentation with poetry and sculpture, trying to blend language and material in the minimalist framework. It's made from the blocks of wood, stuck together and stuck with glue or something similar to the sort so that it will form an hourglass shape. The steel aluminum plate in 1969, which is self-explanatory. It was such a bunch of steel and aluminum plates arranged in a checkerboard pattern on the ground. And for the last one, we have aptly named 144 Lit Square, also in 1969. It aptly named as such because it is a sculpture composed of 144 individual lit squares arranged on the floor to the form of a larger square. His sculpture really embodies the thought of the minimalist art. It is simple nature and except from a few sculptures are just theirs with no other reason than just because he wanted to create them.
In the end, minimalistic art or minimalism is still being done today. Now more than ever actually, as companies and groups are changing their logos from once detailed into much more simple and minimalistic ones. From the rejection of abstract art into an age of minimalism that led into a post-minimalism art movement. And going back into minimalism in today's time, minimalism is here to stay and will always be a timeless art form for all to appreciate. Thank you for listening and watching our presentation. This has been Kent Nathaniel B. Bornales along with my partner.
This is John Michael B. Sigayo signing off.